this segment, we talk about the place where we spend way too much of our lives at work, from bosses who play favorites to coworkers. Okay, let me go back and read this one again. That's a tongue twister. From bosses who play favorites to coworkers who think spamming your inbox is a personality trait. We've got stories that will make you nod, laugh, and maybe even cringe. See, I can read. I'm a professional.
Yes.
Sometimes it even sounds like it. Just wasn't then. All right. If we weren't live, we could have these things called takes, and it makes everybody sound way better than they really are. So just want to point that out. I work in TV. I know how this works.
I think we do fine.
Well, we do, but we just do everything live, so everybody has to kind of deal with our first take on things.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Even when I have to restart that, it's still a take. Still one take. So I'm just pointing that out. I work in TV production and media production and all that kind of stuff. I know how bad some of these great actors and actresses and whatnot are. It's not that they're not good. It just you take 20 takes to get that perfect
magic.
Yeah. It's not a simple process. All right, where are we starting tonight, my lovey?
Well, we're going to start with lies. And our first question is, if employers expect you to work overtime when there's work to do, they should also allow you to leave early when there's no work to do.
And most of them are perfectly happy to do that. You do realize you're losing out on pay. So when they just find stuff for you to do, then they're actually doing you the favor. They're making sure you get your full pay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't expect them to pay you when you're not doing anything, if you're not even there, right?
Oh, no.
You can't really expect that. So if you're just say, here, go find something here's a broom and a rag, go find something to dust. Yeah. Go find something to dust. They're not expecting you to work hard. They're just expecting you to do something.
Something, anything. Just don't do nothing.
Yeah. That's all that is. And so yeah. Why would you, again, most of them would, right? They'd rather not pay you that hour's wage and send you home early if you're up for it. They just don't want to be rude and ask you to do it. And so if there's nothing to do, you can ask to go home early. Hey, boss, there's nothing to do. Do you mind if I bail out early? Yeah, sure, go ahead. It's what's going to happen most of the time. Sweet. That's whatever's saved on the bottom line. Adds up over a quarter, right?
Yeah, it does.
So you are allowed to leave early. You just kind of have to ask for it. Some places will give you the option. Hey, guys, there's nothing to do for the second half of the day. If any of you want, you can bail out of here. Some people will take it. Some people will say, no, I need that extra 3 hours of work. So no, what are we going to do? Yeah, go clean cobwebs. All right. And so you go clean cobwebs.
Yeah.
It needs to be done every now and again. Guess what? Now we're going to do it because we've got nothing else to do. So take it in that be appreciative that they're not sending you home without pay. Be appreciative that they're keeping you there your whole shift so they can pay you for your whole shift.
They're trying. They're working for you. They're trying to do you a good turn.
Yes. So so when they do need you to work overtime, you're willing.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't misunderstand that, as I think is what's happening.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
They're just misunderstanding what's happening.
Yeah.
Inexperience, I would assume. Yeah. Okay. What's next?
Okay. Coworkers call me weird for showing up to job sites an hour early. Literally, an hour early.
Well, it depends. Some people are slow starters and they know this about themselves, so they get there an hour early and so they can fuss with their tools and get everything. And so by the time their actual job hits, they're ready to work. Don't let other people, whatever works for you is perfectly fine. Don't let your coworkers not understanding it. They're not going to understand it because, half of them are running late all the time. So no, they're never going to understand someone who's an hour
It's
early.
not their process.
No, my guess is in that hour, he does things for himself so that he's better prepared for the day. Maybe he doesn't clean his truck and organize his tools at the end of the day. He just slumps them in there. And so that hour he's using to get himself organized. Who knows, whatever it is. Maybe it's his time to sit there and drink his coffee and scroll the news without kids or anybody else bothering him. Who knows? It's nice and quiet. Maybe he just leaves early just in case he's one of those people who internally just can't stand being late. He'd rather be an hour early, planning on, hey, maybe there's traffic. And so I'm still going to be on time. Who knows what his reasoning is, but it's nobody else's damn business.
It's true. It's no one else's business. But you have to admit, it is a little weird.
No. I've seen far too many people who have far weirder things than showing up an hour early to think showing up an hour early is weird. It doesn't even make the list. It's not the weird. Nah, it's not even a list. It's just some dude shows up an hour early. Who knows? Maybe he's, depending upon the time your job starts, maybe all jobs start at 8, right? So he's showing up at 7, but maybe he had to drop his wife off at her shift at the hospital at 6:30. And so he just shows up at 7 because what the heck else is he going to do for that hour? So he just goes there and prepares for the day. Who knows what the schedule is? So just stop judging other people. And I don't know, maybe you should tell them why. But from my perspective, it's nobody else's dang business, and who cares what they think, right? Fundamentally, that's the ultimate thing. But if it actually worries you, explain to them why.
Yeah, somebody once told me it's none of your business what other people think about you.
It's true. It's not. What do you care? I mean, if you're in a construction worker or something, half of those guys are on some kind of drugs. What do you care? What do you guys do? What do you care what a bunch of people who spend all their money on, in the old days, we'd say hookers and blow. So I don't know what the new terms on that are for, but the point is they're just kind of wasting most of their money. What do you care what those guys think? Who are running late all the time, can never find their tools. What do you care what those guys think? They're not your problem. So don't worry about them. But maybe you can just tell them, it's nice and quiet here an hour before work. So that's why I'm here. Someone has to be the first one there, unlock the gates and do all that stuff. Maybe he just quietly does that and you guys are always running late, so you don't know. So anyway, don't worry about it. Is my answer to that question. It was a long way of getting to that. Okay.
Are we getting gifts for our bosses when we go on vacation?
What?
Somebody did that in her office. One of the girls went on vacation and got her boss gift.
Yeah, someone's sucking up. That's that right there.
And she's like, are we doing this now?
No, we're not. No. Now, maybe they have a personal relationship and the gift timing was just timing. Maybe the gift had no relation to the vacation. It was just, I'm about to go on vacation, so I want to make sure I get this to you before I go. That was the only connection.
She brought her back from vacation.
Oh, a gift back from vacation?
Yeah.
Oh, that's normal. And it's not even necessarily a boss. They found something that they thought that person would like, and so they bought it for him, right? Just kind of a random thing. You see something that someone else would randomly like, you randomly buy them a gift, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't go out intending to buy a gift. You just saw something, saw something with porcupines on it, and there's a nice little porcupine figurine. So you buy someone a nice little porcupine figurine, and here's a porcupine figurine for your collection, right? Mm-hmm. Those kind of things happen every day. Sometimes it's the boss. Sometimes it's the security guard at the front door. Who knows what it is? She's just somebody who likes to buy people gifts when she sees something like. That's how I would take it. Yeah. I thought you'd like I'm going on vacation. Here's a gift. Well, the same thing.
They were on vacation and they, picked up a T-shirt or something.
Yeah, no, this is
I was in. My friend went to Cancun, and all I got was this T-shirt.
yeah. Maybe they wanted a souvenir. Asked, hey, can you bring me back a souvenir T-shirt? Maybe it's not a gift. Maybe they paid for it.
Ooh.
Right? It's going to go back to again. It's none of your business. But no, you are under no obligation, cultural or work thing, to buy a gift. Generally speaking, it's frowned upon, frankly. But
I thought you were. That was.
well, again, it depends on the personal relationship. You just don't want to make anything weird. But if you're past that stage, if you're friendly, you go out to lunch, or hey, buy me a goofy souvenir T-shirt, will you? Those kind of things are fine.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, it's none of your business. Don't worry about it. Is my answer to the question yet again. Okay.
Why do some coworkers send a large volume of stupid emails that are obviously pathetic attempts to have visibility, quote unquote, and kiss everyone's behind? Am I wrong here?
Well, it depends. It could be a lot of people doing the CYAs, covering their behinds, letting everybody know what they're doing and why they're doing it, and who told them to do it, and who told them to do it this way, and blah blah blah. And it can fill up your inbox, but it's people covering their behinds because they got someone who likes to not accept responsibility in that chain somewhere. And so you're just, watching all this flow by without understanding it, because you don't know the politics of whatever group that is.
Okay.
Yeah, but you are somehow involved in the chain of it. So that's normally what these over communications are. Sometimes they just like to have people, bosses or people 1 step, 2 steps higher. They like to see it. They're not really looking through all of the emails. They're looking for key points. Oh, someone did that. Yes, someone did that. But you don't know that unless the habit is for people to send essentially everything. And so you're not really reading for everything. You're looking for key points on projects so you can make sure they're getting done. Or you can find out, oh, there's this backlog. They're arguing over this thing. Let's go sort that out. So that's why some organizations have more robust communication. I don't want to say standards, but culture than others.
Culture. Yeah.
There's reasons for it. You might not understand the reasons for it. It could be cultural, or people are actually, observing. It could be people covering their butts. That happens a lot. Everybody knows I'm not doing this because I said so. I am doing this because they said so. Right? Those type of things happens all the time.
See, I wouldn't do well in that kind of culture.
And there is some truth in, the people who get promoted are the people who get seen. Now, being seen isn't always positive. If you're an annoying thing on emails, no one's going to want to work with you either. So there's a balance to that. So don't worry about people who have gone over the other side of the line and are just being obviously butt kissers. Everybody knows. But oftentimes those butt kissers are also willing to do tasks others aren't. And that's why they get opportunities that others don't. Because they know exactly what they're doing, frankly. They're seen in tough circumstances, and they show up. Well, guess what? You've just accomplished 3 of the 5 things you need to be successful.
What are the other 2?
Good networking and competence. You actually have to be competent in what you do, and you have to have people around you who are willing to help you, which is good networking.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's 100 ways you can break that down, right? There's not just a single way to look at that. Just to be clear, that's just kind of one of my shorthands.
Love it.
Okay, what is next?
Coworker drank alcohol on shift and wasn't fired for it. Okay, you don't know what happened behind closed doors.
Well, they weren't fired, but there's all kinds of, this is one of these things. There's two things. One, if it's a long-term employee who's going through, an alcoholism issue just cropped up, they will likely stick through them while they work through an at least give it a good old college try to see if they can work through it. Another one, if they make the company a lot of money, they are going to get a second chance to work their way through this. The exception being is if this is a safety thing. Like if you're a truck driver, you don't get to drink alcohol, right? You're fired immediately, no questions asked. Your insurance company won't have it any other way. Right? If you're a salesman,
yes,
there's more leeway there, especially if you're a high performer. Doesn't mean they're not going to deal with it in some way. But we've seen this time and time and time again. If you make a lot of money for the company, they will put up with a lot of BS. The amount of BS they're willing to put up with is the amount of zeros on the checks that people write to them. That's, just like you as an employer, the amount of crap you're willing to put up with in any particular job is kind of balanced by the amount of zeros on your paycheck. And the more money you make, the more crap you're willing to put up with. The universal truth. It works the other way. The more money you make them, the more crap from you they're willing to put up with. That's why being competent is the best defense. Be good at your job. You're valuable, and therefore it's harder to get rid of you.
Yes.
That doesn't mean you can't. Everybody's replaceable.
Yeah.
And if he does this again, he probably will be. But, if it's a long-term employee or a high-performing employee, they're going to at least give them another try. And it's not a major safety issue. If you're driving forklifts or something, you probably don't get a second chance on that. But if you're an office worker, you probably do. Is that fair? Probably not, but life ain't fair. Okay. What is next?
Life ain't fair.
Yeah, sorry. What's next?
The boss acts differently around me since I got pregnant.
They're probably unsure of. And bosses are just human beings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now you've got this uncertainty about how you're going to react, how they know what they legally have to do, but it gives them old problems. And it may have come as timing. There may be other things that's on their plates that has nothing to do with you. And you're overanalyzing things. Because of course you are. You're looking for changes. And so anything out of the ordinary
May have nothing to do with you, hon.
could be a financial audit they're going through. Not necessarily even have to be wrong with financial audit. They're just stressful just going through them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there may be a financial audit that's got nothing to do with you. The dog may have died. Who knows? And so he's just not himself. These kind of things happen. Or he could just not have much experience with this, so he doesn't know essentially how to act. So he's making it up as he goes along. Everybody has to deal with this kind of things for the first time, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're the first time you've had to deal with it, there's a little unease there because it's the first time you're going through it. There's unease on anything first time you have to deal with it. And again, if it's not how experienced the boss is, how big the company is, all these things. If you're a major corporation, someone getting pregnant isn't such a big deal. But if you've got a staff of 7,
yeah,
and someone get pregnant, well, at some point they're not going to be there for an extended period of time.
Yes.
At least 3-4 months. That's with the workaholics.
Yeah.
So, how are you going to deal with that? And all the various questions that come along with that. even just having to contemplate that is not necessarily anything negative to you. It's just they're working through it, and you're over analyzing things because, of course, you are. It's human. It'd be human to do that in that circumstance. These are things. Patience. Just let things be for a little while, and judge as you go forward. Don't let a little uncomfortableness at the start, as people are, figuring things out, dictate how this whole process is going to go. Little patience.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
They're adjusting too, just like you are.
Yeah. It's just going to be a process. Luckily, you have a few months to work through it. So,
yeah.
Okay. What is next?
Okay, our last question.
Yeah.
For this section. Okay. Coworker called me a slut, and I didn't know what to do.
Well, if you're a medium-sized to large company, I suppose you would go to HR because that's just inappropriate. Just inappropriate behavior. If you're a smaller company, there's no HR department, right? Essentially, the CEO or whatever boss is likely and so you have to deal with that. That's one of those things that's just wholly inappropriate at work under any format. Now, there could be one of those things. Did you poke the bear and at some point the bear responds to you?
Hey.
They didn't say during what. Did someone just walk up to you and call you the name? Or were you having an argument and you spilled some insults, they spilled some insults, and now both of you need to get sent to HR? In that case, both of you need to shut up and just deal with it as adults, human beings that you are, or that you weren't behaving like. This kind of stuff happens in warehouses all the time. Guys will even get in a fight. They'll never report it to HR because they both kind of engaged in it, and then neither one of them is going to come out good by going to HR. They're both likely to get fired, so they both shut up. If you were part of the process that created the conditions where this happened, you are just as guilty in the eyes of HR. Because remember, their job isn't to protect you; their job is to protect the company. So understand the process that led up to this. That's all I'm saying. Someone is just randomly kind of doing it because they don't like you for whatever reason. That's a different thing than if you guys were having a personal disagreement, through insults back and forth, and one of them hit harder than the others. Right? Those are two different scenarios. And if you were if you were part of the second one, you are in the eyes of HR just as guilty.
In the eyes of HR.
In the eyes of HR, just as guilty, which means you don't go to HR, you nimrod. That's so. Just understand what actually happened before you decide what to do. Go forward. It's very easy to play the victim when, in fact, you were just as guilty as. What is it? Some people call it mutual combat, and then.
Mutual combat. Okay.
Yeah, there's laws that have that. Is that if you two are essentially agreed to fight, then you can beat the living tar out of each other because you guys agreed to it. We don't care. So that's what I'm saying. I just understand. It's a totally inappropriate office behavior, but that kind of totally inappropriate behavior rarely comes from the middle of nowhere. That's all I'm saying. There's usually stuff that leads up to it. And guess who's going to ask those questions?
HR.
Yeah. So, all right. That's it from the grind. Literally, whether we're showing up early, dealing with double standards, or just trying to dodge office drama, which is my suggestion. Work life always gives us something to talk about. That's it for this segment. Have a good night, and please remember to love everybody.
Good night.